Hey everyone, this is Friedel Courage Raven, and I'm back with my recap and review of Penny Dreadful City of Angels, season number 1, episode number 7, which is titled Maria and the Beast. And I have been waiting for Maria to finally encounter Magda, and this episode delivered what I wanted. And with only 3 more episodes left, I'm really interested in seeing where this show is going to lead the Vega family and what's going to happen in the finale. But anyway, coming back to the episode Maria and the Beast, it opens with this newspaper, and because Lewis and Tiago ended up making Diego give a fake confession, everyone is happy that Lewis and Santiago were able to capture the person who murdered Riley as well as the person who ended up killing the Hazlitt family. Then we move to a scene where we see Maria sitting on the bus and she's going to Peter Kraft's house for her job. And we see that she has this talisman, which is a coyote, and this is her spirit guide. While the bus stops beside a cemetery, we see Magda there, and I was like, ooh, Maria is seeing Magda, and I really hope that this continues as the episode proceeds. So, of course, Santiago isn't happy about making Diego give a fake confession. Everyone is talking about Luis and Santiago and how great they are, but of course, Santiago isn't happy about it. So, he decides to go home, and this is where he notices that Molly is waiting for him outside, sitting on the steps, and she's reading the newspaper. And these two talk, and Molly tries to praise Santiago for a job well done, and Santiago is like, I'm not really happy. He doesn't tell her the truth about how he and Lewis ended up making Diego gave a fake confession, but he does tell Molly whether or not she has felt that if she has ever been trapped in a place where everything she does is wrong and everything she does is a sin. And Molly is like, Santiago, I really don't think about it that much, and basically when I meet people, I don't give off a sense of pride. I meet them as they are, neither good or worse. And she tells Santiago that it's the same way she looks at him. Like she sees Santiago for who he is, neither good or worse. Then they end up hooking up. So the scene changes, and we see that Mr. Goss is talking to the Caltech student, and apparently the Caltech student hasn't really made up his mind yet. He isn't really sure if he wants to side with the Nazis, and it's kind of understandable because he is afraid of what Mr. Goss might end up doing to him. And Mr. Goss, because the kid is a scientist, he ends up attracting him with talks about Hitler wanting to create a huge laboratory, a scientific research center, which will be equipped with the state-of-the-art devices and all of that stuff, and that this young kid just needs to give Hitler the equation to create the engine for the rocket. And while all of this talk is going around, we see that Lewis is keeping an eye on the kid, and he is taking photographs, and of course he's worried about the kid fully siding with the Nazis and giving them what they're looking for. Then we have a scene where, because in the previous episode Peter Kraft ended up sending his wife away, I wasn't a fan of this decision because I really thought that his wife was going to put up more of a fight, but maybe she will in the upcoming episodes, who knows. But Peter ends up telling his kids that everything is going to be okay. Their mom has been admitted to a hospital because she is ill, but they need not worry about anything. And the bell rings, and Frank goes and he opens the door, and Tom's there. Not Tom, my bad. Peter's son name is Tom. So Tom opens the door and Frank's there. Frank's is Elsa's demonic child, and of course Tom isn't happy about Frank coming to live with them in the house, especially because Tom is afraid of Frank. So, and then Peter ends up telling Tom that isn't he happy about Frank being there and Elsa being there, and Tom is like, I already have a brother, I already have a mom, I don't want these two living in my house. Then the scene changes to Elsa in the kitchen, and she's appreciating this dinnerware set, and she tells Maria that they never had anything like that, and then she asks Maria if there's anything similar that Maria has, and Maria is like, yes, I have a dinnerware set that has ivory handles, and I take it out on special occasions. So their talk ends up going towards Elsa clearly not wanting Maria to hang around in the house. And Elsa is like, Maria, I want Tom and Frank to share a room, and then I want the other kid, Peter's other kid, I can't remember his name. I want him to have his own room because he's growing up. So would it be okay if that kid takes your room and you move to the room with next to the garage? And you can see that Elsa doesn't want Maria to be near Peter and the kids anymore. So Peter walks in and he's like, what are you two talking about? And Elsa is like, I was just suggesting to Maria that she should move to the room next to the garage. And Peter is like, yeah, that's a good idea. And Maria is like, you know what, I'll do it. Then we have a scene between Tom and Frank. Again, Frank, the kid actor who is playing Frank, he is giving us real creepy kid persona, and I'm a fan of that. So apparently Tom has this pet hamster, and Frank is like, what an odd little creature, and you just know that Frank is going to kill this little hamster. Then we are at the cafe, and at first Lewis's friend goes in and she is like, kid, have you been meeting with the Nazis? And he is like, no. And then Lewis comes in with picture evidence, and the kid is like, Nazis aren't bad, right? They're talking about building a new world and giving people opportunities. And Lewis's friend is like, I'm going to stop you right there. Nazis are not good people. They only know how to destroy. And you really need to figure out your priorities and where you stand. And the kid is like, please don't let the Nazis hurt me. And this is where Lewis decides that the kid will go and stay with his friend. Then we have a scene between Alex and Councilwoman Beck, and this was a very interesting scene for me because Councilwoman Beck was like, Alex, you're the one who has potential. I can see that you're very driven, so why are you supporting Councilman Townsend? And Alex is like, I'm going to support him because I see potential in him, and one day I'm going to make him the president. And Councilwoman Beck is like, wait, you're going to make a racist person the president of the United States? And Alex is like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And Beck is like, who's going to vote for you? And Alex literally tells her that it doesn't matter. You all can keep your POC votes and all of those votes. However, there are still a whole lot of people out there who are angry, and those are the votes that are going to make Councilman Townsend the mayor and then the president of the United States. And I am like, ooh, this feels very current, considering all of the political happenings that's happening right now in the U.S. And then Councilwoman Beck comes in with, Alex, I tried to do a bit of research and it's like you just appeared out of thin air. We can't figure out where you came from. And in politics, secrets are ammunition, and I'm going to figure out where you came from and what your plans are. And this makes Alex very angry. And at first I was like, is Alex going to kill Councilwoman Beck right there in the bathroom? But she didn't. So Alex goes and she talks to Townsend about how Councilwoman Beck is after them, and she won't rest unless Townsend is recalled. And apparently everyone likes her, and Townsend's like, you know what, we have to do something about Beck, and I'm not above having her killed. And I'm like, Townsend, don't kill her. You're already a racist. You're already a closeted queer person who has his own issues. Don't cross a line you can't come back from. Then we have a scene between Josefina and Matteo. So Matteo goes and he tries to talk to Josefina about whether or not Josefina still loves him as family. And Josefina is like, Matteo, I still love you. What's wrong? And Matteo is like, I did something terrible. I'm not really sure who I can talk to. And then Josefina is like, Matteo, you can talk to the Lord. You can talk to the heavens. And I was like, Josefina, read the room. So of course Matteo realizes that all of the love that Josefina is talking about is kind of that surface level love which he doesn't want, and so he walks away. So basically in this episode we see that the Vega family has more or less fractured. Everyone is off doing their own thing, and yeah, Magda needs to figure out how to bring her entire family together. Not Magda, Maria, my bad. Maria needs to figure out that. So Maria is trying to be comfortable in the new room, and this is where Peter comes in, and Peter is like, Maria, how do you find Elsa? Your opinions about her? And Maria is like, Elsa is clean, she is pretty, and that's all she has to say. And Peter is like, she'll need your help to feel comfortable in the house, and I also need your help to handle the boys. And Maria is like, it's okay, I won't be going anywhere. And then Peter walks out. So yeah, Maria not only has to worry about her own family, she also has to worry about Peter's family. Then we see Luis telling Santiago about how he has been keeping tabs on Nazis, and Santiago is like, Luis, what do you want me to do about this? You are in deep trouble, especially after your two friends died. And Luis is like, don't you think I know that? However, I helped you in the case in the previous episode when we ended up making Diego give the fake confession, and now I want a favor from you. I need your help to track down the Nazis. And Santiago is like, you know what, let's do this. So Maria comes back home and she takes out that silverware she was talking to about with Elsa, and she is in the mood to cook food and have the entire family sit down and eat dinner together. And she prepares dinner, and she goes to tell Josefina to come eat dinner, and Josefina is like, no can do, I have Bible study. And Maria is like, I don't understand whatever you're doing. The temple that you're part of is not a church. And Josefina is like, that's rich coming from someone who doesn't even believe in Christianity, who isn't even Catholic, and who ends up praying in Santa Muerte. And they have an argument, and Josefina walks out, and Maria ends up telling Raul that Raul needs to step up. Raul used to fight for his family, but nowadays Raul doesn't necessarily say anything. And yeah, I'm with Maria in this. When this show started, Raul was very aggressive, Raul was very proactive, and seeing him basically do nothing after coming out of the coma, that's not necessarily sitting well with me. I need Raul to do something. Maria goes out and she remembers how just a few weeks before they were all a happy family and they were celebrating Santiago becoming a detective, and now look at what's happened to her family. So she goes into the garage or the shed. Yeah, she goes into the shed and she begins praying to Santa Muerte, and there are a whole lot of candles there, and I'm like, Maria, that's just a fire hazard waiting to happen. The scene changes to Elsa and Peter in bed, and Elsa is basically trying to get Peter to fire Maria, and Peter is like, it's okay, Maria knows the children since they were kids, since they were born, and they also picked up a few words of Spanish from her. And Elsa is like, don't you think that's confusing? Don't you think that German kids should speak German, and that German kids should get accustomed to their German culture? And I'm like, Elsa, I know what you're doing and I don't like it. Then we have this very creepy scene where Frank is like, Tom, I can't sleep, I'm scared, can I come and sleep in your bed? And Tom is like, yeah, I guess. And Frank goes in and Frank is like, I love you, we're brothers now. Tom, do you love me? And Tom is like, yeah. Tom is clearly afraid of Frank, and you know what, I would be too. So while they're talking, the hamster keeps on running in his hamster wheel and it's squeaking, and Frank is like, how are you even able to sleep with all of that squeaky noises? And Tom is like, I like the noise. It helps me feel calm because I know that the hamster's there, and you just know the Frank is going to kill the hamster, and he does. So bye bye hamster. Then we have a scene where we see Louis's friend on surveillance, and she's keeping an eye on Goss and Kurt at the restaurant. And these two talk about Councilman Townsend, about how he is living in a house that's way too expensive to afford on his salary. And basically, there's something about Townsend's father. We don't necessarily know who his father is. Apparently, he has some sort of bloodline that he's trying to refuse. Maybe he's part German, who knows? Maybe he's associated with the Nazis, who knows? I'm not really sure. I'm looking forward to finding out. And this is where Kurt ends up telling Goss that Townsend isn't as gullible as you might think. He is awkward, he is a bit unbecoming, but he's smart and he has passion to make the city better. And Goss is like, Kurt, are you falling in love with him? Because if you are falling in love with him and your icy heart is melting, then I have no use for you. Then you're just another useless American. So watch what you're doing. Then the scene shifts to Louis and Santiago in the car, and they're keeping an eye on Kurt and Goss as well. And this is where Louis ends up telling Santiago about his family in Germany. He has distant cousins, but then the German invaded the area, and one of his cousins was Jewish and queer, and they ended up hooking him up with a meat hook. It wasn't pretty. So basically, Louis is just telling us how awful Nazis are, and there's literally no justification to excuse a Nazi. And Santiago is like, Louis, what do you want me to do? Louis is like, we can't go to the police. I don't think anyone is going to help us. So we need to take matters into our own hands. And he takes out his gun and he's like, you know what, Santiago? We need to shoot these two when they come out in the alley. And Santiago nods, and Santiago is with Louis. They need to end these Nazis before they cause any more harm. But while they're talking, they notice that Councilman Townsend and Alex come to meet Kurt and Goss. And this is where Louis and Santiago figure out that, a councilman is part of Goss. That's not good. And then a scene which actually made me shocked as well. I was really surprised that Adelaide, Molly's mother, apparently is in cahoots with the Nazis as well. And I was like, ooh, this is bad. And Louis is like, if Adelaide is here, Molly is here as well. And of course, Santiago isn't a fan of that. So let's see what happens next. Coming back to Maria, she's been praying to Santa Muerte, and Santa Muerte appears, and Santa Muerte is like, Maria, what do you want from me? And Maria is like, why is my family in a whole lot of trouble? What's going on? Why am I sensing your sister around me? What's up with that? And boom, 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 Santa Muerte's sister Magda appears as well. And I was like, yes. I was waiting for more supernatural stuff to happen in this episode, and these scenes gave me life. And Magda is like, you know what, sister, why don't you tell Maria what's happening? And Magda ends up talking about her sister loving her in the past, and then something happened, and then Santa Muerte rejected Magda, and Santa Muerte is like, I made my choice even though I live with it every day. And Magda tells Santa Muerte to remember the days when she used to love Magda as a sister. And this is where Santa Muerte ends up tearing up, and a tear falls down her eye, and Magda picks the tear up, and she is like, yeah, that's my victory. A tear from you, or a tearful nation. And yeah, so basically something happened between these two. I'm not really sure what, but Santa Muerte can't banish Magda. There's something happening. It's a chess game. And Magda tells Santa Muerte to just disappear back into the darkness and live with her regret. And then Magda ends up turning her attention to Maria, and she's like, why have you chosen the coyote? And Maria is like, because the coyote is my spirit guide. And Magda is like, why not a bat? Why not a raven? Why not a tigress? And Magda is like, and Maria is like, Magda, why are you even here? Why is my family in such a mess? And Magda doesn't necessarily answer her. However, Magda does tell her that if she wants her family back, then she can help her, and that also she is a bit confused about why Maria prays to Santa Muerte, even though Santa Muerte is the chilling finger of death, and all of that stuff. And Maria isn't buying it. She knows that Magda isn't a good paranormal being, and Maria asks Magda about why she ends up destroying everything other people have made, and Magda is like, life comes from death, and Maria is like, no, you don't know anything about life. I know about life because I nurtured and gave birth to 4 children. So I'm not really sure what you're playing at, but I'm not here for your games. And yeah, she basically tells Magda to go away, but Magda can sense that Maria is tired, and she offers Maria the chance to begin believing in Magda, and if she does, then her family will come back to her. And Maria is like, no, I'm going to continue fighting for my family. And she tells Magda that she has the blood of the Aztecs inside of her. The revolutionaries stand beside her family, and she will not succumb to Magda's appeal. And she ends up banishing Magda, and I was like, dun dun dun. It was a very interesting episode for me. I will be doing a written review of this for the Geekiary. The link to the review will be down in the comment section below as soon as the review goes up. I enjoyed it. Again, I have been waiting for Maria and Magda to interact, and they did, and I hope they continue to interact moving on. With only 3 more episodes left, let me know what you guys thought of the episode, what are your opinions about what's going to happen next. And yeah, until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed, and see you guys later.